Can a single piece of evidence, buried for decades, solve a crime everyone else has given up on? What if the truth was never lost, just waiting for the right moment to be discovered? Tonight, we're reopening cases that were once forgotten, cases that haunted families, frustrated detectives, and left behind more questions than answers. But now, something has changed. And if you're drawn to mysteries like this, stories where justice refuses to stay buried, make sure you subscribe to Faceless Justice right now. Because the deeper we go, the darker it gets. Hit subscribe. Because some truths don't stay hidden forever. And trust me, by the end of this story, you'll understand why. Because one of these cases was never truly cold. Welcome to Faceless Justice, where the silence of forgotten cases is finally broken. Cold cases are different. They don't scream for attention anymore. They sit quietly, collecting dust, while time erases witnesses, memories, and sometimes hope. Detectives retire. Families grieve in silence. And the truth? It fades. Or at least, that's what everyone believes. Because sometimes, the truth doesn't disappear. Sometimes, it waits, hidden in a strand of hair, a fingerprint missed, a name buried in a database that didn't exist. Until now. And tonight, we're diving into cases that prove one thing. Justice may be delayed, but it is never gone. But here's the question. What if solving these cases reveals something far more disturbing? Something investigators weren't supposed to find? Because in one of these cases, the evidence didn't just identify the killer. It exposed something much bigger. California. For years, fear had a name, but no face. A shadow moved through neighborhoods at night, breaking in, watching, waiting, and then striking. The media called him many things, but history would remember him as one of the most terrifying criminals in American history. The case stretched across decades. Victims multiplied, but leads? They vanished. Detectives chased ghosts. Witnesses forgot details. And slowly, the case went cold. Until, decades later, a single decision changed everything. Investigators turned to something new. Something controversial. A genealogy database. Not designed to catch killers, but to connect families. What they found was unexpected. A distant relative. A name. A thread. And when they pulled it, everything unraveled. But here's the part no one talks about. What if they were already watching him? Before the DNA confirmed it? The DNA didn't lie. It led them straight to a man who had lived an ordinary life. Former police officer. A neighbor. A man no one suspected. Until it was too late. His name? Joseph James D'Angelo. The arrest shocked the world. But behind the headlines was a chilling reality. He had lived among them for decades. Free. Untouched. Unnoticed. And the question that haunted everyone was this. How many others are still out there, just like him? A young girl is found. Alone. Abandoned. Her identity? Unknown. Her story? Silenced. They called her the Buckskin Girl. Not a name. Just a description of what she wore. Years passed. Then decades. No family came forward. No records matched. It was as if she never existed. Until technology caught up with the past. DNA testing improved. Databases expanded. And suddenly, she wasn't invisible anymore. A match appeared. Then another. And finally, a name. But just as investigators thought they were close to the truth, they uncovered something unexpected. Someone had been searching for her this entire time. She had a family, a history, a life that had been erased. But the biggest question remained. Who did this to her? The DNA trail continued, leading investigators down a path they hadn't anticipated. A suspect emerged, but the timeline didn't add up. Something was off. Something didn't make sense. And then, a second piece of evidence surfaced, one that had been overlooked for years. And it changed everything. Detroit. A young woman. A quiet night. And then, violence. The case seemed straightforward at first. Until it wasn't. Leads dried up. Witnesses disappeared. The file was closed. But not forgotten. Years later, a detective reopened it. Not because of new witnesses. Not because of a confession. But because of a single piece of preserved DNA. Something no one had the tools to analyze before. But now, everything was different. The sample was tested again. And this time, it spoke. The DNA didn't just identify a suspect. It revealed a pattern. A connection. Cases that seemed unrelated suddenly weren't. Different cities. Different victims. But the same method. The same signature. Investigators realized something chilling. They weren't dealing with isolated crimes. They were uncovering a hidden timeline. One that stretched further than anyone expected. And then came the realization that changed everything. What if these cases were never truly separate? The deeper they dug, the darker it became. Old evidence was re-examined. Files reopened. Names rechecked. And then, a match appeared that shouldn't have been possible. A connection between two suspects who had never been linked before. Until now. And when investigators